Okay, we have a new kit in the blog, and that's the ISO 2400, and that's all about procurement, right? It's the ISO of sustainable procurement, and it matters because procurement has a lot to do with what's happening with both energy and materials. If we think about 12% of GDP in the public sector alone, and also accounts for 29% of the government expenditure, and that's for the member countries of the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. Now, ISO is more and more focused in this arena from the sustainability guide. Now we have this procurement sustainability certification 2400. And it really tackles the subject of the whole value chain. So you are looking at procurement, which is how you are making purchasing decisions so that your own organization meets. And that is either from public or private sector, is tackling absolutely both. Also looking at society as a whole, trying to minimize the impact on the environment. And you can do this in a very conscious manner, accounting for what's happening across your whole value chain. And that's on materials, in the energy use, but also what is happening in the working conditions of your suppliers' employees. Is it decent? How are being treated? What are the socioeconomic issues perhaps that happens? And we are far removed often to ensure that those are actually addressed. So we need to be more conscious and more aware and more interested into what's happening across the whole value chain, from the inception, from the very beginning, upstream, all the way to downstream, and what's happening after the fact with your products and services too. So what is the ISO 2400? It really is there to provide some guidelines so that you can integrate sustainability into your organization's procurement process. That's all it is. Right? And you look at political, you look at strategic aspects of the purchasing process throughout, so that you can be aligned as an organization with your goals and objectives, so that you can in fact nurture, care, and even create, if you don't have yet, a culture of sustainability. So I have the standard with different principles of sustainability, and you're looking at accountability, you're looking at transparency, also the respect for human rights all across, and ethical behavior, again, across your value stream. So there is quite a lot of it here. The guide is available if you haven't looked at it yet. And you may be wondering, why do I care to do things differently? Why would I start finding out things that perhaps is going to make things more difficult? Now, we get into a tipping point, not long for the 2030. There's much that we need to tackle as a society as a whole, and we can just be waiting for policies and fines, which in fact they are coming down the line anyway. This standard of the ISO 2400 is really there to help you to reduce your impact on the environment, whilst tackling also human rights issues and enable you to manage suppliers' relations in a better way, so that you are aligned with the long-term goals of the cost, the actual cost, and the aim of improving your whole performance. And that also includes your value chain. So the ISO 2400 is for both. This is for the public and private sector, because it applies virtually to every single part, every purchase decision that you take. That's from office supplies to energy providers, to the building materials, the spaces, the different contractors, third-party relations you may have. And the 2400, it does align with the ISO 26000, which is all about social responsibility. So they are set up in a similar principles and core subjects, especially around human rights, the labor practices, fair business practices, right? So one thing doesn't take the other. So the 2400, the sustainability procurement, is all around guidelines. It's not intended for certification. There are a few things coming down the line for that. Now you may be wondering, how do I get started? To get the most of it, first, what you need to look is at your buying culture, what it is today. How do you buy things? Who do you buy it from? How much control do you have over your supplies? What about the risks and rupture of stock? We get reminded from conflict to climate events, how sometimes very fragile our processes and our supply chains may be. What are your demands for your suppliers? Are those realistic? What have you agreed? What are your contracts in place? What are those dates? Is your organization clear how you own and align your own requirements and needs and wants? Then it's all about knowing your supply chain. So have a look, evaluate what's the cost of the supply chain across your whole organization. You'll be surprised how scope 3 and your procurement actually accounts for quite a fair bit of your operations. So what is the proportion of your revenue that is actually going to paying suppliers? Do you know what is the societal and environmental impact? What is the access and the influence that you can have and who can help? And also think in a way that is strategic rather than just operation, and consider what are the risks, what are the opportunities, what are the implications of also not doing something, and how can you work closer with them across the whole life cycle of, again, products and services. And then get buy-in, because with all change, any change, buy-in is important from all corners, edges of the organization. So key decision makers, influencers, how can you put them on board? Are they aware of the benefits, the opportunities, the consequences of actually not doing something? And this, in essence, is all about the ISO 20400. And for the ones that may not know, the ISO is an international organization for standardization. Again, it has a sustainability guide that if you haven't looked at, I would recommend you to go and have a look. I'll put a link in the comments. The organization ISO is not governmental. It's an international organization with a membership of over 162 national standard bodies. And it's through its members that sort of bring together all these experts so that it shares knowledge and develops voluntary consensus-based market-relevant international standards that support innovation, support how to evolve our solutions to the need of our global challenges, our one planet Earth. And I hope this is helpful. In a nutshell, this is all it is. If you haven't tackled procurement yet, it's a great opportunity to go and have a look. What are your current processes? Most often, you're going to find a lot of similarities to what's happening across your different programs, your different operations, and even finance and other decisions that are very tied together with procurement. So even that you may be sitting in a different area of the organization, I do a lot of content around Agile, you have the opportunity to support and align the ability for your own organization to be better at procurement, be better at your supply chain. We covered not long ago about the ability to expand the value stream mapping. You have the opportunity as a change enabler, as a program director, as an Agile practitioner to evolve how you do things today. And procurement has a lot to do with it. And you have a lot of opportunity to help where it matters. I hope this is helpful. Pop some comments and we'll tackle one at a time and see you very soon.